Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and I, man, here from the Blockprinter, MetaZone, Rovi, and MScribe, and today we're going to be talking about information finance.
InfoFi, another one, dude.
Yeah, we cryptofy everything, dude. All of a sudden, we're cryptofying bits and data.
That's right.
And now information.
As we should be doing.
Yeah.
That is the superpower of crypto rails. We've now legitimized the value genesis of the internet, right?
Yeah.
If you do anything on the internet, whether it's propagating ideas, propagating humor in the form of memes, propagating information, whatever, or propagating block patterns through the utilizations of Bitcoin's proof of work network.
The best form of data.
Yeah, you could tokenize these things and create whole new layers of commerce on top of them.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I feel like we're finally up to something.
Yeah, you could do a lot with information. I mean, AI does a lot with said information, and we're going to talk about how that's being leveraged here.
Yeah, this is actually potentially a real disruption moment for the space, right? And it's directly targeting like the marketing / KOL like component of what makes our crypto space, viable and whatnot. Because, in the past, if you weren't, aware, a lot of what drove 2021 hype manias and IDOs and such was KOL allocations.
That's
so
right.
that means essentially new projects were doing their own TGE events,
Yeah.
token generation events, and allocating a piece of the pie to people on Twitter, or not even Twitter, Twitter and like YouTubers, content creators, to make, favorable
recommendations.
Yeah, literally just
comments. Yeah, anything.
Paint the most rosy picture about this token that's about to launch, basically.
Yeah.
And, that was kind of shady, because a lot of these people weren't being very transparent about how much they were getting allocated.
Correct.
Or they were just straight up weren't even being honest about whether or not they were getting allocation.
Yeah, you could argue that there's nothing for them to say because they actually bought their allocation.
That's true. In some cases, maybe in others not. I don't know.
Yeah. It's hard to know.
But the point is, this layer of what formed the crypto industry, it's very opaque, right? Not very transparent and out in the open. And for the rest of us who aren't part of those backroom deals, we don't really know what's up, right?
That's us.
That's all of us. So
Yeah.
we're all just on the outside looking in. It's like, damn, you guys are cooking up some weirdness. But yeah, so this stuff, it's opening up a market to where now anybody
can transparently
partake in the reciprocal model of project creation and project amplification, which, every project needs help with that. Right?
Yeah, so let's take a look at what that actually looks like. So it says here, by XGhost, you're already sharing insights, breaking down threads, and posting content for free. InfoFi flips that into income. It's crypto's next big wave, and you're early enough to ride it. Here's what you need to know. And so here's a thread. We're going to be sharing all the links in the description. So what is InfoFi? It's information finance. It's a new wave in Web3 where quality insights, attention, and digital content become financial assets. So if you share valuable info, you get paid. You create early trends, get paid. You reply with signal, you get paid. So basically, if you're really good at the alpha game, you get incentivized to stay good at the alpha game.
Yeah, because these new platforms that have been erected this cycle, we're going to talk about a few of them.
Yeah, so
they're leveraging AI, right?
Yeah, so the mentions here is Kaito and Cookie.fun. So I don't know if we've done a dedicated video on Kaito. We have mentioned it.
We've mentioned it mostly because of their historical ties to Bitensor. Remember, they were like a subnet.
That's
and
right.
then they forfeited their subnet ownership.
That's right.
But yeah, they did like a huge airdrop a few months ago to top KOLs and such. So it's been on our radar, right? But their relevancy is only growing as the cycle expands.
Yeah, and we did a video on Cookie.fun as well, and that did really well.
Same thing, but they were more honed in at the time on the AI agents mindshare space because AIXBT, as you guys remember, there was quite the slot bot mania.
Yeah.
Kind of as a result of virtuals, right? Everybody was spinning up their own AI agents. They were all on Twitter, just yapping away. and we needed some way to aggregate everything that was being said by these agents, and to display which of them are having the most impact on the mindshare of crypto Twitter, right?
Yeah.
And that's what Cookie provided.
Yeah, so there's one more network here called Ethos Network, which I don't think we're gonna have the time to get into, but it's definitely something you should look into.
Mm-hmm.
So let's move on here. So this is Kaito, and this is like a breakdown of like the mind share
Yeah.
of what's going on within crypto Twitter.
Specifically, I think these are like, if you're trying to be a part of this whole yap to earn phenomena, the number one token here is called Loud, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these are, I think, projects that have some sort of incentive addition potential, right, for yappers.
Yeah. Clearly everything's doing pretty well. But yeah, this is another one that's going to be in the description. But yeah, this is if you're into this kind of stuff, you need platforms like this to kind of gauge where you want to be yapping about.
In what sense?
Yeah, I mean, just the mind shares. Like, there's a lot of people talking about Loud, but there could be opportunities for other stuff, right?
Well, we're gonna look into why Loud is number one here, because I think they're bringing in, like I said, new layers of added incentives. And here's a big one: Arbitrum also doing the same thing. So Arbitrum is an L2 to Ethereum. It's pretty massive. It's huge, and they're starting to onboard into this ecosystem. So they see value in it, right? They see you tap into this, you add in some tokens, which Arbitrum has, 400,000, will be distributed, split among the top yappers. Right?
Top 50 yappers each month for the next 3 months.
Yeah, I mean, 50 yappers is not a lot of people.
No.
So we're talking pretty big allocations here if you manage to make it. So that's a very highly competitive, endeavor to try and be essentially one of the top 50 mind shares of in this context, giving out more awareness of what it is Arbitrum is up to,
Right.
What's the value of Arbitrum, yada.
Yeah, and the idea is that people are already doing this to provide value so that they get followers.
That's what we do.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, nobody's paying us to yap about certain things. We literally just
yap
go
anyways.
Up. We're stupid, dude. We should have been,
A part of this train.
I guess, I don't know.
Yeah.
We just like to yap about things that we find interesting, but now you've got like options here. It's like, okay, Arbitrum's putting up essentially a bounty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You guys, now you spend the next month or two just talking about Arbitrum, and you don't have to worry about your content anymore. I got you.
Right.
And so if we were to like really dive deep into this channel would be like nothing but Arbitrum talk for the next 3 months.
Yeah, but what's interesting is that Arbitrum would do this anyways, but it would allocate this to KOLs.
Exactly. Maybe to like a few KOLs at most.
Yeah, like 5.
Yeah, exactly. So this is like it expands the reach now because it's going to be distributed to top 50, but there's probably hundreds of people trying to top that leaderboard.
That's right.
So that expands the outreach pretty significantly, I would say.
Yeah. All right, so Kaito, 550 million market cap. It's doing pretty well here, and it's near all-time highs.
Yeah, I would. So if you're looking at if you're an alt season believer, Bitcoin is on its way to all-time highs, and as we know, once that's completed, a lot of value should start to re-enter to altcoin space. You want to look at altcoins that are bringing something new to market this cycle.
Yeah.
Right. Not necessarily like the legacy old stuff. Like, I know Polygon and like Polkadot and things like that. They had a lot of hype last cycle, but it's last cycle's like narrative stuff. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. There's new demographics, new entrants into the ecosystem, and they don't necessarily want old stuff. They want new stuff.
Yeah. That's something we've learned over the years in crypto. Like the new stuff always performs the best.
Yeah. I remember last cycle was like, Bitcoin Cash has to run because it did it last time, right? And it never did.
Yeah, it's like, dude, look at all these alts are blowing up, dude. Fucking Doge went crazy.
Yeah.
For some reason, people are still buying Ripple.
Yeah.
It's like, for sure, Bitcoin Cash is coming back, right?
Yep. Nope.
Didn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so always keep your eyes on the new stuff, right? So this is new stuff, and these are 500 million market caps, pretty high, but there's still upside there. It could be a $5 to $10 billion contender, at the end of this market.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was gonna say yesterday, but earlier we were talking about Loud, and so Stay Loud is now sitting on at the #1 in Kaito leaderboard, backed by real numbers and stronger community sentiment than other pre-TGE projects. Its momentum with receipts, 378 votes, 73% bullish sentiment, dominating crypto Twitter. Solana native via Kaito integration, and launched in May to flip engagement into value like shares and yaps. All tracked, all rewarded. All right, so Loud. So here's a breakdown. Loud attention is all you need. This is not going to be a revolutionary paper on attention in neural networks. Instead, this is an experiment on the purest of attention markets, an experiment that runs in perpetuity with no intervention. A lot of thought has gone into it, so hopefully you read below. But if your attention span is fried, I've left a short TLDR at the end, which we will read here. TLDR, Loud is an experiment on attention value market. So it's kind of the stuff that we were mentioning earlier. Worthless token where each swap generates fees. So now we're talking about leveraging something like Meteora to enable swapping and earn those fees and distribute those fees to people.
Yeah.
Yapping.
If you remember in our last video, we talked about how Believe has weaponized that, functionality, that DEX functionality that Meteora provides to support developers like Web2 app creators. At least that's their ecosystem underlying ethos. Of course, people can still launch meme coins and worthless tokens through the same mechanism and probably get funded as well. But the point is, this can be weaponized in many different directions. So in this case, how about we just redirect those fees straight to people who are yapping the hardest about this token?
Yeah.
Even though it's a meaningless token, it's got no purpose, no utility. Essentially, it's a meme coin, but, everybody has the reward potential of being like, the natural value prop of a meme coin is that upside potential, right?
Yeah.
You could buy it at $1 million market cap. It ends up becoming $1 billion market cap. You made
in this case, you could buy it at, $10,000 market cap.
Yeah, so that upside potential is already there, right?
Yeah.
So already memes are attractive. And now it's like you add that plus the ability to, I'm holding a bag and my job now is to like really compete in the social market to like amplify the attention for it.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting double rewarded, right?
Yeah.
Double incentivized. So that's the experiment at hand here. So it's interesting because it's leveraging Kaito's tech. And again, the rails that exist on Solana to weaponize this into one whole new experimental token deployment, right?
Yeah, so I think it was today that they had a Twitter space. And so this article here kind of breaks down what happened in that Twitter space.
Yeah, go through all this stuff because, this stuff is literally happening live. The token doesn't exist yet. Maybe by the time this video is posted, it will exist. Hopefully not. So you guys have some sort of early alpha. If you think this is a good idea.
Yeah, one of the things I found interesting is that they cap it to 25, the top 25 yappers for the allocation of the fees. And so there's a question here is why not distribute to rewards to everyone? It says because that dilutes incentive, Ultra believes a narrow payout structure pushes yappers to work harder, keeping the game competitive and sharp.
Yeah.
It's a good thesis, could work, but I think distributing to more would work better. I think. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Kaito already provides like the mindshare distribution metrics already. So maybe it's a logistical problem. It's easier to allocate to 25 people as opposed to 2,500 people who've been like.
It could be a technical problem.
Yeah, 2,500 people, and then you gotta like distribute dust to like the 0.0001% mindshares.
Yeah.
It's just like a diligence nightmare probably. So like, you know what? Screw that. We're just going to narrow it down to 25.
Yeah.
And you guys really want this, then fight for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Tweet at me, right?
Yeah, we'll see.
All right. So here's a platform, stayloud.io, reward distributed to mindshare contributors weekly forever. And so here are the actual contribitors.
So this right now they already have a leaderboard.
Yeah.
And here's their mindshare. So essentially, this is their fee split, right? So if imagine these guys were contributing LP, like liquidity, same thing, right? The guy at the top he would have the most money in the pool.
That's right, yeah.
Therefore, he's getting the most of the fees. But in this case, there's another fee split. And this doesn't require any capital investment. It requires social capital investment. Right?
Yeah.
Different form of capital.
Your time.
Not just time, but reputation.
And yeah, knowledge and information dissemination and
equally important facets, right, to creating like a successful anything, right? Not only do you need people to provision liquidity on the DEX side of things, so they're getting properly rewarded for that.
Yeah.
You need contributors on like the marketing side of things, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Traditionally, it's hard to do that, dude. You got to either pay somebody to be your marketer.
Yeah.
You know, good luck with that, because it's like a very hard skill.
Hit or miss, yeah.
Yeah. Or you do the KOL thing,
Mm-hmm.
pay some people who already like, you know, have that reputation and clout, but you don't know how hard they're actually going to like go for it.
Yeah, they
We've
might
seen
not
that
even
in
do
the past.
anything at all.
Exactly. And I already got my allocation. Who cares? What are you going to do? Take it away from me? No,
Mhm.
I already
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
So instead, leverage this. Let the market free compete for this stuff, right?
Yeah, I think it's pretty smart. Another project we mentioned earlier, cookie.fun. So we talked about them earlier, and their website has completely changed.
Yeah, I don't see any AI agents here anymore, dude. Where'd they go? Remember?
Yeah.
Used to see AI XPT like right there in the front and center. But it's still there. There's a tab at the very top. AI agents. There they are. That looks more familiar.
Yeah. Yeah, so if we go back, they have mindshare on the individual tokens, and I saw Bitcoin at 11% mindshare. And then the next one was Cookie at 2.1%.
Wow. That's very good, actually. Hyperliquid is generating a ton of buzz. We'll probably do a Hyperliquid, Hyper EVM video here in the near future, because they're dominating in mindshare. But yeah, this is a good way to kind of get your spectacles on what people are thinking about, at least in the market, right?
Yeah, and like you're saying, they leverage AI to come up with this information, right? And so this information, if you're a project, is kind of important. And so yeah, I mean, mindshare is all here, so definitely check that out. Cookie Snaps. So this is something else from Cookie DAO. They've been cooking. Okay, we got a few more minutes. Cookie Snaps is a project to creator marketplaces with a built-in rewards and airdrop campaign system that recognizes crypto Twitter creators who contribute to projects mindshare. It uses snap points to score and reward content on Twitter. So it's like Yap points,
Yeah,
but
similar.
snaps.
That's right. So similar tech stacks, like they're out there scraping Twitter for data and for analytics, using AI and their own like proprietary algorithms, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
But the objective here as a participant is to go out, and in this case, there's a campaign. So this is probably very manual onboarding. You know, do individual campaigns at a time. But now you know what to yap about, right?
Yeah.
It's in this case, it's a project called Spark.
Yeah, Spark.fi. It says the first Cookie Snaps campaign is officially live. Everyone can now join and start earning Spark Snaps. It says here these are the people at the top of the leaderboard. DeFi Dad, that's pretty interesting. But will they snap all Spark rewards? And
See what you're getting rewarded. Earn Spark Snaps. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this is like a token allocation or not. Like we saw with Loud, you're getting the fees of the token trading itself. So, but I imagine most of these like Snap campaigns will be for some sort of token airdrop allocation, right?
yeah.
Otherwise, like, what's the point?
Yeah, what's the point? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so on this Twitter thread, it kind of goes over how you actually partake. But ultimately, because they use AI and they're scraping data on Twitter, you just talk about spark.fi. And
Yeah, somehow.
so theoretically, I mean, we're in the mix. Theoretically.
Us?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we would have to tweet this stuff out, which we will at some point.
Yeah.
Well, not really.
And it has a video.
That's interesting. We should probably try that out just to like really see, how this algorithm works out, because there's a video associated with it.
Yeah, I feel like that has high production value.
Yeah, but we'd have to do like a full-on video deep dive, I think, into this project. Not like a little short mention.
Yeah, because their
Yeah.
AI could read the videos. Like they only talked about it like 10% of the time.
Yeah, therefore blacklisted.
Yeah. It's like, ignore
phonies.
the block runner forever.
Spammers.
Yeah.
You don't know. That's what's interesting about these platforms. And like we saw, there it's not just Kaito and Cookie, right? There's several of them.
Yeah.
And they're all creating their own like proprietary systems that they are privy to, but we all get access to, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. All right, so this is Spark.fi. I want to rise up the Spark Snaps leaderboard.
Well, here it is, dude. Here's the playbook. Here's what we need to do.
Here's some pro alpha to help you get ahead of the rest. Optimize for quality over quantity. The algo rates signal, not spam.
Shit. We're out.
Use data.spark.fi for insights and inspiration. Share your Spark journey, strategy, or stats. Memes, humor, yes, but keep it smart, on brand, and topical. And tag Spark team and partners, but only when relevant. Avoid low-effort shills. And hit 10 snaps to unlock invites. Get 10% of what your cabal stacks. Avoid multi-shilling other projects.
That's interesting.
So we're out of the mix in that case.
Yeah, I think the loyalty counts. So this is, so a content creator like us would suck, I guess, because we're constantly covering a lot of things.
Yeah.
So we're pinging tons of different leaderboards, or we would be.
Yeah.
If we were more present on Twitter with our content, proliferation. Well, actually, we're pretty present on Twitter.
Yeah, I would
should
think
probably
so.
lock in the Blockrunner Twitter account to find out.
Yeah, I guess when we do our shorts, like a short specifically on Spark, then we just it's only that.
Yeah, but that's not enough.
Well, it's not enough. Yeah,
they want you to post every day something.
Yeah.
So so we can't do it, unfortunately. Sorry to the InfoFi community.
No, yeah.
We're
definitely not a signal whatsoever ever.
No, we just like to cover interesting things. We think what you guys are up to is very interesting.
Yeah.
Right. But we cannot dedicate ourselves to full enslavement for anybody's project, unfortunately. But I know there's a lot of people out there in the world that can, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of undergrads in college.
Sure.
With the urge to write and voice their opinions on things, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's politics or, whatever the fucks, dude. Just direct all that energy to crypto projects.
So a very specific, narrow crypto project.
And what you might make an actual comfortable living doing that. This is a new gig economy.
That's right. That's right.
Interesting.
Yeah. So Cookie DAO, as soon as they pivoted their website, all of a sudden explosion near all-time highs.
Yeah, AI agents not as cool as they used to be. So, but SocialFi is in. Number go back up. So smart team.
Not all is rosy.
No?
According to Vo, it says hot take companies that depend on info finance for marketing will ultimately fail.
Damn.
These users do not care about your project, and they just want to make money quickly. The timeline is full of AI slop, bot engagement, and absolute trash. Sad to see companies resort to this. Yeah, who would have thought using information would be such a good idea, right?
Yeah. I can't pick up on your sarcastic tone. Elaborate.
Yeah, so basically, info finance is like the AI leveraging of information and propagating that information through Twitter means, and then incentivizing that with a token or points in this case, which will ultimately turn into points. So, how could that be such a bad thing is what I'm trying to say.
Well, he's saying it's a bad thing because it's not it's authentic authentic conviction, right?
Sure, yeah.
It's bot conviction.
Yeah, so he shows an example of 21,000 comments on speed is in our DNA. Come on.
Yeah, I don't think that's. I was vibing with the message, but not the example, right? It's I could see where there's a little bit of a disconnect between who is shilling this stuff and
an actual conviction and actual evaluation of a project.
Yeah, so it's gonna be harder to really decipher an authentication score.
Yeah, but I feel project. With AI it could help.
For sure, yeah. I totally agree. Yeah.
And so Philip here says, sorry, but that's not InfoFi context here. Serious question. Botting is exactly what InfoFi is built to prevent. So he's saying with AI, you're picking up on botting attempts and
Correct.
You disregard that from the point system.
Yeah, man. And crypto is flooded with that.
Yeah, 100%.
There's again, last cycle was a bunch of this.
Yeah, you don't need AI to do this. You just need a bot system to just, tweet. Great project.
Yeah, and again, this was part of the standard marketing budget allocation for a lot of projects last cycle who were TGEing. So This is what we mean by this has disruptive potential, right? It's like now the AI picks up on this stuff. It informs the community that, you know, these are red flags.
Yeah, so here he is, Philip. There's literally no rewards for botted engagement, especially they are not conducting any InfoFi campaign as far as I know. Actually, botted engagement is downgrading the project's mindshare according to our algo. Perfect. That's what you want. You want to downplay this kind of activity.
Yeah, because it's completely...
It's useless. It's just...
It's nothing.
Yeah, it's nothing.
It's literally vapor. It's the worst representation of smoke and mirror tactics that have been leveraged in the past.
And it's very obvious to, I guess...
Only to people like us who've been around long enough.
We're experienced.
That's why they do it, because at face value, for a lot of like inexperienced participants in these markets, they see these numbers and I correlate that to value.
Yeah.
There's this many people liking this thing. It must be like, it's going to be bigger than Bitcoin.
Yeah, right.
Right? When's the last time Bitcoin had 56,000 retweets?
Yeah, exactly.
Never.
Exactly, yeah.
So they use these tactics to like warp the minds of the public, but
of the unexperienced, yeah.
not anymore, dude. We got InfoFi, we got AI to the rescue.
That's right.
And we're going to start to like, you know, push some of these mucky clouds out of our way.
Finally.
I know, right?
All right.
It's good times.
All right, that's it for us, guys. If we miss anything in the InfoFi section, definitely let us know in the comment section below. I appreciate you guys for watching, and we will catch you in the next video.
Peace.